Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Zoe Yoga. I'm Zoe. Today, we're going to be doing a really beautiful practice that stretches the psoas muscle, which is this muscle right here in both of your legs. The psoas muscle is the only muscle that connects the top and bottom half of your body. And new research is showing that it's where the body stores trauma. So in animals, when they feel really scared, their psoas muscle naturally shakes. If you've ever seen like your dog shake in a storm or something like that, like they're really scared and they're just shaking uncontrollably, that's their psoas muscle releasing fear. New research is showing that humans have created the ability to not show fear. Like we don't shake uncontrollably when we get scared or when we witness something traumatic. So it's actually stored in this muscle right here. And what the research is showing is that if you do exercises to stretch and tire out this muscle with the release of like tension with this muscle, trauma is actually released from the body, and it affects all the levels of your dopamine, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, epinephrine, all of those, like oxytocin, everything, all the chemicals in your brain that have to do with stress and trauma. So this exercise is going to be a really amazing practice, and it's going to make you feel really good. If some things get released, like emotion-wise, be okay with it, stay present, and everything is going to be exactly as it needs to be. So go ahead and get started sitting in a comfortable seated position. We're gonna have one foot in the corner between your leg and your stomach. If it's not there yet, that's okay. Both feet can be on the ground. Maybe we're working towards doing this. Maybe we're working towards full lotus, which is both feet up. But for now, I think one is good. So we're just gonna get started with a little bit of warm up. We can bring our arms out to the side, breathing in, and then exhale, crossing our arms over, hugging ourselves in. Inhaling, and then exhaling the other arm over. Inhaling in, and exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, allowing your back to bend, your spine, getting a warm up here. And exhaling, good. Now bringing your right arm over to the left side and your left elbow down. We're going to slide through the front, coming to the other side with our elbow down and our hand above our head. So coming through and through again. Just going back and forth, closing your eyes and feeling how this is stretching every muscle in your back, your shoulder, your arm, your side body, your rib cage, your neck. Every muscle group is being stretched here. Is therefore really happy right now. Because these are the muscles that we need to stretch the most, and we just stretch the least. And I'm very happy right now to be activated and moved. So go ahead and come back to center, and we can come onto our heels. So we're gonna sit in a pose that's called Vajrasana or lightning bolt pose. We're just sitting back on our heels like this. Now we wanna keep our stomach zipped up and in during all of these exercises. So go ahead and put your arms forward, palms up, and then we're gonna do fist down. So we're focusing on our arms, our hands, the form, but also our stomach being zipped up and in. Remember, that's called Uddiyana Bandha. Bandha is the Sanskrit word for lock. So you have your Uddiyana Bandha, which is your stomach lock. You have your Mahabandha, which is the lock in your pelvic floor. You have your Jalandhara Bandha, which is your chin lock. I'll talk more about that later, but basically if you squeeze your pelvic floor, your stomach, and you lock your chin down, it's very energetically activating. So keeping doing this exercise with your arms, and then coming out to the side. Up and fist down, up, fist down. Keeping your core active, stomach zipped up and in. palms up, fist down, palms up, fist down, palms up, fist down, palms up, fist down. Great. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and come into a downward dog. So tuck your toes and send your hips up, rolling your shoulder blades away from each other and extending your spine very long here. Pedaling out your hamstrings if that feels good for you. Just getting this really beautiful inversion. Head is below your heart, so your heart's getting a break. Pumping blood to your brain with the flow of gravity instead of against it. Do whatever feels good here. I usually like to lift one leg up and then the other. Kind of pops my hips. Feels really good. It's always doing what feels good. We're gonna lift our left leg up and then bring it forward, placing it between our hands and keeping our right foot down but lifting our heel up off the ground. So we're gonna come into high lunge. Keeping our right heel up, sinking into our hips and bending into our left knee, which is squared. So you should feel this in your right psoas muscle, which is your right muscle on the top of your quads. Staying here, breathing. We're gonna lift our arms up and invite a back bend in, sinking lower into your hips. If this feels really intense, that's a good thing. Bringing your hands around your front foot, we're just gonna send it back and come into a chaturanga with our elbows bent, coming into upward dog and then back to downward dog. Right leg comes up and plant it down in between your hands. Left heel comes off the mat and we rise up, keeping strong in our right leg and really stretching this muscle right here, your psoas muscle. So feel your strength here. Sink into your hips and then invite a back bend with your arms coming up. Sinking deeper and deeper into your hips, feeling the stretch right here. Beautiful. Bringing your hands around your front foot and sending it back, coming into a plank, bending your elbows to chaturanga, coming into an upward dog, and then sending back to a downward dog. We're gonna send our knees to the mat, come into a child's pose here. Forehead on the mat. Just completely relax. Good. Now we're gonna tuck our toes and come back into a downward dog. We're going to send our left foot up into the sky and then place it again between our hands. This time bringing our right knee down to the ground. We're gonna come up and place our hands on our hips. Now here, your knee does not have to be at a 90-degree angle. You can sink into your hips as much as possible. Really feeling the stretch in your right psoas muscle. So basically the front of your right pelvis should feel like pretty intense right now. That's a good thing. So inviting just a really beautiful stretch here. Once again, this is being shown that trauma is stored in the muscle that you're stretching right now. So just feel into this moment. Close your eyes and feel the acceptance. Know that you are exactly where and exactly as you're supposed to be in this moment. Sending your arms up for a back bend. And then placing your hands around your front foot. Sending your foot gently back, coming back into downward dog. Being really gentle with ourselves because our right psoas muscle has just been stretched pretty intensely. We're gonna bring our right foot up into the sky and then set it down between our hands, placing our left knee on the ground. This is called runner's lunge or low lunge. Placing our hands on our hips, we're gonna sink into that right hip, and this is stretching your left psoas muscle. Really just feel into this. This is such a beautiful stretch, and I know it can feel intense, but I promise your body is just thanking you right now. Sending your arms up into a back bend, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Feeling the acceptance here, not judging where you are, how flexible, that one side is different than the other. You can notice that and then just let that acknowledgement go without judgment. Sending our right leg back and coming back into a downward dog. Being very gentle with ourselves once again. We're going to bring our left leg up and then come into a half pigeon on our left side. So placing your left knee near your left hand and then placing your right knee down. Most people know this pose. It doesn't matter if your leg is like parallel with your mat. I used to think that really mattered, but your knee can be at a 45-degree angle here. So we're gonna bring our fingertips to the front of the mat. Inhale, extend our spine. Breathe in love and acceptance. And exhale, just fold over your knee. Just coming down to wherever you are. Finding that beautiful, beautiful balance between effort and surrender. And really just dying into this pose. Not trying to move around too much or adjust, just feeling wherever you are, just being okay with that. Stretching your hip is so important. I'm sure some of you have heard that your hip is where emotions are stored. So just as your psoas muscle stores trauma, your hip is known to be where a lot of emotions are stored. So this may bring some things up for you, and if it does, that's beautiful. Let them come up. Knowing that the longer you hold a pose, the more it's getting into the connective tissue, the more it's going deeper into the muscle, the more you're rewiring your brain, telling yourself that you can stretch in this way. Holding a pose longer than the 20 seconds or 30 seconds before you get bored. Just really holding it and knowing that you are making a real permanent change in your body. Coming up gently onto our fingertips. And gently tucking our right toes. This is going to be a little bit intense. Just sending our left leg back, stretching it out, maybe coming into a child's pose if necessary. Sending our hips back and just integrating what we just did into our brain. Beautiful. Coming into a downward dog if you're not already there. We're going to bring our right leg up and then do the same thing on the other side. Coming into half pigeon, putting your right knee near your right hand and scooching your left knee back so that you can spread out. Bringing our fingertips to the mat, we're going to inhale and extend our spine, mentally preparing to completely die into this pose. And exhale, folding gently forward, completely over your leg. Just feeling wherever you are here. Noticing if this side feels different than the other side, but not judging that, just noticing. Completely surrendering to the pose. Noticing anything that comes up and just letting it float by. Knowing that your body is so thankful for you to do this asana right now. Asana is the Sanskrit word for pose. This asana is such a beautiful, beautiful place to be. It can really teach you a lot about acceptance. Breathing deeply into your right hip and exhaling, feeling the release as you hold it for a little bit longer than you think you need to. That is when the true magic happens. When you think you're ready to come out of a pose, but you stay in it. That's when you get into that connective tissue, into that myofascia, and really making a permanent difference in your body and your mind-body connection. Breathing deeply into your right hip, sending it love, and exhaling, feeling that beautiful release. Coming gently up to your fingertips, extending your spine, sending love to your right hip, tucking your left toes, and coming back down into a downward dog. Gently, gently, gently. Our hips are feeling so good right now. We're going to do one last lunge. So lifting our left leg up, we're going to bring it forward, keeping our right knee off the mat. We're just going to come up, put our hands in prayer hands, Anjali Mudra, and then look over to the left and see if you can tuck your right elbow onto your left knee, like this. So just twisting like this, beautiful, and then opening your arms up if possible and looking over your top hand if that's possible for you. If it's not working, that's okay. If you fall, that's okay. Knowing that you are exactly where you need to be in this moment, knowing that every time you do this, you are creating that mind-body connection for the next time. Coming back to center prayer hands, and then putting your hands down, sending your left leg back, coming into downward dog. Bringing our right leg up, and then placing it in between our hands, coming up, doing the same thing. Center prayer hands, and then twisting over, left elbow hooks onto the right knee. Once again, opening our arms up if that's accessible for you, and looking up over your right hand. Keeping integrity as much as you can here, knowing that if you fall, it is okay. You're strengthening those connections for the next time you try. Every single time you get on the mat and do something, you're strengthening those connections. Coming back to center and gently bringing your hands down, coming back into your last downward dog. Beautiful practice today. Sending your knees down, sending your hips back, and just coming to Vajrasana, lightning bolt pose. Finishing our practice with a crossed legs. Thank you so much for joining me today in this beautiful psoas stretching practice. Your body and your mind are so thankful right now. Hands together in Anjali Mudra over your Anahata chakra. Closing your eyes and just thanking yourself for putting in this time. You are healing. Hands together in Anjali Mudra over your Ajna chakra, third eye, looking up, thanking the universe, which is part of you and you are part of it. And then all the way down, thanking Mother Earth. Back to center. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. My soul sees your soul.